We're here at Craft Supplies USA to show you the Wagner Texturing Tool. It's only limited by your imagination on what you can create with these Wagner tools. They're just a lot of fun, they're very easy to use, and the patterns you can create are amazing. We have 3 tools. We have the 12 TPI, and we have 2 of them in the 16 TPI. Now the difference between this 16 and this 16 TPI is that this is 3/8 wide and this is a 1/4 inch wide. The 1/4 inch I'm going to use on harder, denser woods or in tighter areas. And the 12 TPI I'm going to use on softer woods or in areas that I want a little bit bigger, more dramatic pattern. Let's talk about the different patterns and how we can kind of change them, or we get differing effects out of them. Number one is if I hold the tool below the center line, it's going to give me kind of a swirl. If I hold the tool at the center line, it's going to give me more of a true diamond shape, or the pattern of the knurling wheel. Above, it's going to give me the swirl but going in the opposite direction. When you're holding it on the side, it's going to just more or less roll with the wood, and it's going to give you a straight stamp. So it doesn't matter above or below so much on the side grain, but on the end grain it certainly does. You want to stay away from woods like ash, oak, or anything that has an open grain. You want to stay with something that has a nice even textured grain to it. Here I've got hard maple, I've got holly, as well as cocobolo. They'll all work, but on the cocobolo and the hard maple, I'm going to have to push a lot harder than I am on the holly. Some other good woods for you to start practicing with are cherry, walnut, or soft maple. All work really well. Okay, we're about 500 RPM, and I'm going to go ahead and gently touch the wheel, get it started, get it tracking. And I'm applying a little bit more pressure. A little more pressure. A little more pressure. And now it's just a matter of kind of keeping it in place for a little bit and making sure that we've pressed that pattern into the wood. What's fun to do is to take this pattern that we've created here, which looks good enough by itself, but for tops and fun little items, we can put some coloring in. We like these Tombow markers because on this end, it's got a nice kind of like a paintbrush tip to it. It's actually soft on the end, and it works very well to just kind of paint across here. On the opposite end, it's got a hard tip on it, and that's good for little small details like we'll show you. I'm about 2,000 RPM here, and I'm going to take the marker, and you can see how I'm holding it just so it's kind of pointed down, and I'm just going to hit the high parts, just rub it across there. On the solid wood here, I'm going to make a little dark line there, and also there. Now I'm going to take up my black marker here and give it a little bit of accent. Let's take a look and see what that looks like. You can see how it's just hit the high parts there. Gives you a nice little pattern. A lot of fun to use. I've dropped the tool rest about 1/4 inch below the center, and this is going to change the pattern that we're going to get. But what happens by dropping this, it also wants to make the tool skate a little bit. So I'm going to have to hold a little tighter, push down as well as in order to keep the tool from skating along the tool rest. So I'm going to use an overhand grip here. Again, get it started, get it tracking on that, and I'm bringing it in, a little more pressure, a little more pressure. Now you can kind of see a little bit more dust coming out, and that's because I'm holding it below center. There's actually a little bit of cutting going on because I'm not right at center. But that's going to make a nice pattern for us. Okay, let's kind of use our brush here, and let's see what we got. Now can you see, by holding it below center, I get this kind of a spiral coming off on that. And you can also see that it's pronounced in one direction right here. If I hold it above center, this spiral will now go the opposite direction. You can see that we've got the texture here on the top of this box, and it's a little bit proud. You can see, hopefully you can see that it's a little proud of the surface. We're going to show you how to do that next, just on the top of this. This is where it's nice to use the smaller width wheel. This is the 16 teeth per inch, right on this rim here. Remember, I get it pushed in, get it tracking, and then slowly apply more pressure, making sure that the tool doesn't skate to the left or the right on the tool rest. Be patient. Most people just aren't quite patient enough with this. Let's take a look at that. Okay, I've got a nice little pattern there. But right now I think it's a little bit too wide, and so this is where I can take my skew, and I'm going to make this stick up above, and I'll clean this area and clean this area with the skew. I've turned the speed of the lathe up, and now with my skew laying flat on the tool rest, I can just lightly scrape this area here, kind of soften that corner just a little there. I can work this. Okay, now I've lifted that textured area up above the surface, which really shows it off. If I can make that band a little smaller if I want, cutting some of the texture away. That looks a little better proportions. Let's take a look at it. That looks pretty good. The difference between the 12 teeth per inch and the 16 teeth per inch. Remember, the 12 is going to give you a little bit bigger pattern, and this is going to give you a finer pattern. Again, this is a little easier to push into really hard woods, but this just gives you a bigger pattern. We'll go ahead and put it right on the end here. Take a look at it. The first one we're going to do is we're going to do the 16 teeth per inch. Now here's the 12 teeth per inch, and we'll do it right next to the 16. Again, since this is a little bigger teeth, I'm going to have to push in a little bit harder and stay with it just a little bit longer. Make sure that pattern's transferred into the wood. Let's take a look at it. You can see here, this has got a lot tighter pattern, and that's with the 16 teeth per inch, and here's with the 12. As you can see, you're only limited by your imagination with what you can do with the Wagner Texturing Tool.